Hello and welcome to the 13th installment of Cincy Rims Roll Call. I'm Adam Visnick, your host, and once again, we're diving deep into the world of risk and insurance management. Today, let's unravel the journey, the challenges, and victories that our next guest has encountered. Please join me in welcoming Robyn Miller. Robyn, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure, and let's rock right into the questions as we always do. Tell me a little bit how you got started in your career.
Well, actually, many people my age kind of fell into the risk management and insurance arena. I was actually a paralegal by trade and was working in law firms for several years. And there was a lady that I worked with, and her husband was a project manager here at Baker and called his wife and said, "Hey, I'm looking for someone who might come into the risk side of life over here at Baker." And she recommended me, so I interviewed, and the rest is history.
Just like that. You got in there, just one phone call. All you had to know was the right person in your
Yes,
network, in your life, and you you got
yes. I mean, I
into
wasn't looking for a job at the time. It just kind of fell in my lap, and it's been a good journey here.
awesome. How long ago, if we can date ourselves, how long ago was that you got hired and that you've been with Dave Baker since then?
That was actually April Fool's Day of '97. Yeah, so I've
Fantastic.
been here almost 26 years now. Yep.
Wonderful. We'll get into not only where we'll pick up from there, but and we'll go through the journey. But tell everybody in the audience what you do today, kind of in layman's terms, what your role is, and then what you kind of do on a day-to-day basis.
Well, I mean, I'm the director of risk management, but and I don't like to give like the standard out of the box what risk management does. What I do and how I approach it is more collaboration in nature.
Mhm.
We spend a lot of time collaborating with both internally and externally with our project folks. You know, we're constantly looking at what they're trying to accomplish, having conversations about the best way to do that. We look at the risks involved. What is the most, efficient and safe way to do that? We come up with solutions together, look at all of those solutions, and then we all come to a decision as to the best way to do that. I like to educate. I love to train. Anything that my team can do to help out, the external customer and our project personnel learn a little bit about risk management and insurance, it just makes our job easier. So I've challenged my team over the years. When you're talking to people, don't hang up the phone until you have an opportunity to teach them something about risk and insurance. Ask them questions. Maybe they don't know exactly what we do. Always ask, what can we do to help you do your job better and easier and more efficient and safer? So that's kind of how we approach it.
And I think that's really the definition of true leadership here. From the things that I experienced personally, but from the additional interviews we talked about, it sounds like you're the director of collaboration. How can you get your team to work better? And then also factoring a little education there as well. And I think that the truth, if you're a good leader, if you're a good manager, you want to make sure your team is not only working together, but that they're better every day. And I think you just summed it up perfectly. If that your role's not specifically that out of the box risk management role, it's something totally different. And it's such a huge venture Baker has. There are many different pieces of the puzzle that you have to bring together. With that said, I want to take a quick step back. I know we could probably talk about that a little bit more. Maybe we'll dive into it. But going from what you mentioned earlier, paralegal, got the call, get into Baker. What was your first role? And then, how did you move on from there to the next space, next role?
Mhm. So when they hired me to work in the workers' comp arena. So I started out looking at workers' comp claims, processing those, working with the TPAs. Very quickly, the risk manager that hired me at the time moved me into a role working with him a little closer. And he started telling me a little bit more and teaching me more about, risk management and insurance. I started to help him, look at the corporate insurance program, and he was teaching me about that. I ended up going back to school on the company's dime to get my bachelor's degree because I hadn't had my bachelor's degree at the time. They supported me in that, paid for that. They then let me go back and get my CPCU designation. They've just been very supportive in, again, education and helping us to be the best that we can be for the company and for the people that we serve.
That's wonderful to hear because it sounds like there's a homegrown grassroots type of effort that when you got in and quote unquote the lower levels, they invested in you and you took the opportunity, got continuing education, the CPCU, and expanded your network, I'm sure.
Mhm.
And that's wonderful to hear. A company that's local to Ohio, local to Cincy Rims. Along those lines, what obstacles, what challenges had you come upon in your career that really helped you grow on top of your education and associations within your company?
Yeah, I don't think I had obstacles per se. I had some really good mentors in
Hmm.
my career, and
Okay.
I'm grateful for that. The first guy that hired me, the risk manager that I worked for initially, he was just one of those that really took me along and trained me and educated and provided his knowledge. And I had some great mentors along the way. And my last boss before I became the risk manager, he was exceptional. We called him the professor because he was so willing to share what he knew, and wasn't one of those people that held it close to the vest. He knew and understood that his team was only as good as what the rest of the team members were. And so I try to strive for that. And our new CEO is all about succession planning and knowing, where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, and to be able, I'd like to think that I'm at a place now, and not that retirement's in the too close future, but to be able to share my knowledge and train others in my team and in my realm of influence so that when I step out the door, somebody else can just step right into my role. I don't have to worry about it. I just know that they're capable, they've been trained, I've taught them what I know, and it's kind of how we operate.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point to state that that's almost like business continuity too. So if you moved out of the role, something happened, whatever it might be, you have a team that's already ready to just pick up the slack where you need to. Awesome to hear that. And then a lot of times in organizations, we have this kind of organizational knowledge. It just gets stuck in one person or one team. And those people kind of have to stay on because they have the knowledge that others don't. And they maybe sometimes don't give it to other people. They hoard that knowledge. So it's great to hear that not only you did that, but your professor helped out with that as well. So that's awesome. And can you or would you be willing to name those specific mentors that played a factor in your world?
Sure. One of them, the risk manager that hired me, was Jeff Arnold. He was here initially in 97, and he was here for a while, quite a bit afterwards.
Mhm.
And then Dan Salicki, um, he was my last boss per se that I reported to.
So it's great to hear that mentorship still plays a factor. We hit upon that all the time in these interviews, and we love to hear that we're never self-made man or woman. It's always somebody that's going to bring us up. I'm no different than the 12 people that have already been interviewed are no different too. And it's also fantastic to hear that people utilize those people and also people are willing to give out that information and teach. Because as you mentioned early on in the interview, there's not really a degree or wasn't a degree specifically for risk management. And I think it's obvious that you stated you were a paralegal. And of course, risk management was not in your purview. How did you, was it the help of those mentors that really got you into that space? Maybe you fell in love with it, or you said, hey, I'm going to be professional. I'm going to be an expert at this no matter what. What's the thing that really kicked you in the butt? Was your tipping point to getting to that space?
Um, Tipping point. I don't know if there really was one. I would have to say Because in all honesty, there was a point where I almost left the company, and it was because of one of those in between people that I reported to
Mhm.
that didn't make it fun.
Mm.
And that was, once that person left, I felt like I had some breathing room, and I was like, okay, I can stay. And then the new person that stepped in was total opposite. And I just fell in love with what I was doing again, and it became fun. You know, you spend all your waking moment at work. It should be fun.
Mm.
You should enjoy coming to work. You should enjoy the people that you serve. You should enjoy the people that, you know, you collaborate with. And that's one thing that our new CEO has stressed. It's going to be fun. What we're going to do in the next, he's outlined his vision. What we're going to do in the next several years is going to be hard, but it's going to be fun getting there. And so you got to find those creative ways. You know, I see the same, you know, people every day when I come to the office.
Mhm.
I enjoy working with them. I've learned, you know, I've fallen in love with these people. And making that atmosphere fun and enjoyable for people. I mean, that's just the icing on the cake.
I love to hear it. I love to hear the passion that the way you talk about it, Robyn. It's fantastic to hear. I want to talk more about that. I want to take a quick pause though. We've got a couple quick announcements. Forgive me and grant me the grace to talk about these really quick about Cincy Rims, but a
Okay.
couple quick plugs here. We got two. First, February 27th, February 27th from 9 to 10. We've got a speaker coming in. It's a virtual online event. Nathan Early from Risk Connect's going to pop in. So if you're watching this on LinkedIn and YouTube, make sure to sign up for that. He's going to talk about business continuity, something we just talked about, and operational resilience. I know those words might sound boring, but I'm sure Nathan's going to do a fantastic job. Second, we have an in-person event at the Queen City Club, lovely and historic, from 8 to 10 in the morning on March 26th. Kendra Ramirez of KR Digital and Logan Payne of Lock & Companies are going to be talking about managing risk in an artificial world, specifically talking about artificial intelligence. You can go to cincyrims.com to sign up for both of those. They're right there on the top. Click those links. And last, if you haven't followed Cincy Rims on LinkedIn or YouTube, which we have our own page, do me a favor and please do that now. If you're getting value out of Robyn's interview, she's number 13 on our list of Baker's Dozen. Please go ahead and follow the page. It's been awesome so far. Let's kick it back off talking about fun and something that for some reason we haven't said that word a lot in our interviews, at least that I remember. And I'm just happy to hear it. Tell me a little bit more about those initiatives and what kind of factors and parts you've played in that, specifically about the CEO you mentioned. He's putting fun back in the game, or passion, and you want to show up to work every day with somebody that you want to play with, but also work with. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, our leadership is I don't want to say they're fairly new. We do have some folks who have stepped out of the C-suite and are still serving on the board, but we have some new. We have a brand new CEO. He's, I don't know, maybe a year or so. And he created, and he did this at his other companies. We had our first annual Baker meeting. So he flew everybody into Atlanta, actually just last week for the first time ever. So like my level and above, we all went into Atlanta and had, you know, speakers and, had some outside speakers. We did some outside activities together for some team building. And then the last night we had this formal dinner. So we all got dressed up. You know, we'd never done that before. All the guys are in their suits and ties, and, you know, all the ladies have their, you know, nice long dresses or whatever on pantsuits. So it was just a nice way to get together as a team. We had never done that before. So it was refreshing to do and to participate in. And the excitement when we came back after that, we were all exhausted. But the excitement, hearing what his vision was, and stressing the fact that we were going to have fun doing what we were going to try to accomplish in the next 7 years, it was just this boost. And even, you know, this week, you're still hearing conversations about it. we're still hearing the excitement and the, okay, what's next? What do we get to do next? Because we're all excited about what's going to happen in the future. So, and just hearing him say that it was going to be fun, it's just been refreshing.
I love it. And it's strategic leadership to putting out the vision for the future. And I know a little bit about it, knowing that we've talked before. There's a company that's grown significantly in the space over the past however many years. And that's exciting to hear too. So knowing that you're a part of an adventure, a ship that's going into the unknown and to expand markets and to do the big high level things, exciting to hear. What role maybe do you play in helping to engage that next vision? You mentioned a lot of things previously about collaboration, about education and training. What's the next step in your journey that you have to engage in your career to make that happen?
I think because the strategic piece of it has not been rolled out yet. We've just been told what it's going to look like. It was funny to see when we were in the room listening to that, everybody kind of perked up because as in risk management, you work lean. So seeing the growth of, what that picture looked like, and everybody was like, oh, wow, how are we going to get that? This is really going to be difficult. But we've got to remember, a little bit about where we came from. And Dan is all about people. Like, he has always been about people, honor, and grit. That's our mantra: people, honor, and grit. You work hard to get where you're going to get. You treat your people right, and you do it with honor. You do it the right way. You do the right way all the time, and everything else is going to fall into place. And the other thing he said was, we don't have, we always talk about the obstacles and the issues and the problems that we face every day. He said, we're going to change that mindset. It's not an obstacle or a hindrance or a problem. It's an opportunity. You got to change the way you're thinking about what's in front of you. It's an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to teach something to somebody. So he's trying to change that mindset of how we approach what we do every day. So it's just all exciting to me.
It's a mind shift, and I love to hear it because just from my venture, but the people that are watching this in the space that we're in, it's interesting to hear how, because they might think of these things as problems in the risk space, and this is kind of how it's framed. It's a risk, it could be a problem, but if you shift it differently and say, hey, this is an opportunity to succeed, it's an opportunity to get stronger. The saying maybe in our house and in our company is, life doesn't get easier, you get stronger. It's simple, but it's true. And I think that resonates with what you're talking about. It matches up with that. I love to hear that. Taking a quick shift, and we're getting close to the end. It's been great so far. How do you get involved in your community personally, but how does maybe Baker also get involved in the community specifically, knowing they have such a big reach today?
Well, personally, I serve on the Cincinnati CPCU board. I've done that since like 2017, and we're always in the community. We do we try to do a couple of outreaches, a couple times a year. So I participate in that. Professionally, I mean, I have always said that if you hear people, you'll give somebody the shirt off your back. Dan would literally do that. Like, he would literally, I just know the man, he would literally, that's just him. So that has been ingrained in our culture here. You do what needs to be done, and you do what needs to be done to help other people succeed and do what, they need to do to be successful in their journey. Back to this annual meeting that we had last week, our new chief people officer, she was a territory manager in the South Florida region for a long time, and she's been asked to take a position as the chief people officer. And she told a story last week that just resonated with not just me, but everybody. And it's called 10,000 Keys is what her story was. And she had a superintendent come into her office. And I don't know when all this happened, but she was telling the story about he came in and he asked if he had a few minutes to talk to her. And she was like, well, yeah, sure, absolutely. Come on in. So he said, he asked her if he could give her a hug. And she's like, well, okay, this is a little awkward, but okay. So he gave her a hug and she invited him to sit down and they proceeded to have this conversation. And he told her, he said, I just have to thank you. And she's like, for what? And he said, because, you know, the opportunities that this company has given me, I just bought, and he pulled out these keys and he said, I just bought my first house. And I was like, I was holding back tears because that's what we're all about. We're all about not just, you know, in our company, but in our community. We're helping people build better structures, but build better lives. That's our mantra. And so the goal is, Carrie's goal is to have 10,000 keys. She wants to be able to say, we have helped 10,000 people get keys to their new house.
That gives me tingles right there. I love that. I never heard that's so unique. I've never heard that. And that is so darn powerful and true. If you can raise up the people within your company, the company is going to raise. It's just a fact. And if you have the one goal of getting 10,000 keys into people's hands as new property in a business or a property owner's homeowners, wow, powerful. You know, making a living as a man, a woman, parent, father, mother, what have you. Super powerful. Love to hear that. That's a great story. Wonderful stuff. I think that's also a good place. You hit us with a hard one there. So I'm going to go soft on the next one. We're going to do Cincy Rim's rapid fire questions. Ask you just a few questions, easy ones. Now, before let me preface these questions. Robyn, are you from the Cincinnati area originally or from somewhere else?
Yeah, I born and raised in a small town. It was actually a village when I was growing up. That's how small it was out in Clinton County. Yeah.
Ah, yes, absolutely. So you're close enough. With that said, let's roll them off here. Rapid fire. You ready? Okay. For you, Gold Star chili or Skyline chili?
Neither.
Uh-oh.
I don't like brown water meat. I just can't. I can't
We get
do
a
it.
new answer every time. You're entitled to your opinion, and that's okay. Fair enough. All right. What high school did you go to?
Lancaster High School.
Manchester. Fantastic. And Reds, Bengals, or FCC?
I'm gonna have to say Reds because of the time of year that they play, and it's nice and warm, and I like to be outside.
Yeah, you can't beat it. Summer ball.
No.
Well, that's the end of rapid fire. That's the end of our interview. Robyn, it has been a pleasure having you on our guest. These things never get old. Number 13 for me never got old. I loved every minute of it. Thanks for being on Cincy Rim's Roll Call. Again, I'm Adam Visnick. Thanks for being your host. Catch you next time. Thanks, Robyn.
Thank you.